Bucket, to me, I consider one of the world's dumbest thought experiments. So cash is going to be prevalent. It remains prevalent because a majority of this planet has to rely on it from a day-to-day basis. Coins, however, only really exist to service cash for cash transactions and whatnot. But our brains are really trained at looking at cash because it's worth more. But the cost-dominant exchange by far is coins, because coins are tied to copper, nickel, steel, zinc. The fact that $100 in pennies weighs 55 pounds and a $100 bill weighs 0.0022 pounds. Oil and gas becomes a threat to the persistence of maintaining coins. And when you take a step back, globally speaking, every national economy handles coins the same way. Metals out of the ground, linear throughput of energy to produce them and distribute them to the populace. So for us, I have a coin jar at home. About 128 million households also share that commonality with having a coin jar at home. For us, it's really about mobilizing the value of coins without having to actually deal with the physical asset themselves. So we created a digital piggy bank that you can think of as following you around everywhere you go and does all of the work for you. What's interesting there is that all of society only interacts with coins pretty much when you shop with cash at a retail store. So building a venture around that was very compelling because we had a laser-focused area to layer a technological solution to, and that was point-of-sale systems. So we set out to not only create a 100% software solution to address coin-free cash transactions, we're actually looking to create a degree of universality amongst POS systems because it's also a very fragmented market. When we kept researching into POS systems, there's 290 plus different suppliers in the US alone, but all of them talk only in 4 languages: Windows, Linux, iOS, or Android. So we began creating a middleware platform that is able to ingest communication from an application, be it in Windows, Linux, it doesn't matter who makes the software, normalize that language, and then execute a function to the transit layer. So all of that to say, you can now feel free to shop with cash and never have to worry about the coins. The gist of Bucket really is to put extra money in people's pockets and to mitigate the environmental and societal risks that coins have when you look at them in mass. Because in the US, there's, at any given moment, $70 billion in coins in flight. At the end of every year, 13 billion of that, on average, goes missing. And that is my coin jar at home multiplied by the 128 million households here. When you look globally, it's a little under $500 billion in coins at any given moment in flight. And that's not an insignificant amount of money. It's inflationary if you have to create more and distribute it. And you know, from a banking perspective, never having to deal with coins is great. From a retail perspective, it occupies a tremendous amount of time and resources and money. And then for the end consumer, which is really all of us, we touch, on average, between $250 and $300 worth of coins in a given year in the US. And of that, we only collect in our jars between 70 and 90 of it. So we're legitimately throwing away money. We wanted to build the simplest user experience as possible. So we didn't want people to be forced to have to take out a card or their phone while they're shopping with cash. So the message that we're going to market with here in Northwest Arkansas is every time you reach into your purse or your wallet to pay with cash, you simply ask them to bucket the change. So in your case, you hand them $11 and you're owed, 87 cents back? That money is printed on, so that 87 cents would be printed in the form of QR code on your receipt. That keeps the line moving, and at your own discretion, whether if you sit down to eat and you want to scan it or wait till you get home, you simply scan the receipt, and that 87 cents goes into your digital piggy bank. Every time that piggy bank crosses $50, you get to direct deposit to your bank, load a gift card of greater value, donate to a charity of your choice, Acorns, PayPal, Venmo, Bitcoin, anything that represents mobility and accessibility to money as opposed to an idle coin jar at home. We've tried to make it as simple for retailers as possible as well. So if a retailer wants to join the Bucket program, it's 100% free for them. We actually shoulder the integration as well. The idea being when we launch here in Northwest Arkansas, you have all of the same players that you see nationally. It becomes a numbers game. So you say you want to join for our pilot program here in March. We integrate your POS into the Bucket ecosystem. And on March, well, the date is to be determined in March, but on day one, when Bucket goes live, there will be a Bucket button on the cash register, and it does exactly what a cash transaction does, except it rounds down all of the amounts so that the cashier is only dealing with whole numbers, which means always with bills. And we do all of the reconciliation with the retailer automatically. The long and short of it is we make our money through passive interest income. So the current regulatory landscape doesn't really allow for fintech companies to really innovate beyond a certain degree before being classified as a bank. As a result of that, we have gone out and found several banking partners that do what they do best, which is be a bank. They're capitalized for it, they're licensed for it, and we act as just the underlying technology utility. And we partner with them as a program manager. So we tell them, this person is owed this much, and you can think of us as a traffic cop. But all of the money is actually put into a for benefit of account that is not owned by the bank or us. It's always in the interest of the Bucket account holder. The technology is not revolutionary in Gen 1. In Gen 1, what we're really looking to do is display that we can conduct a Bucket transaction through the existing infrastructure that exists in most retail stores. In Gen 2, it gets a little more complicated because we are trying to move to a completely decentralized platform. So we are incorporating a technology called directed acyclical graph. And what that does is allow everybody's individual cell phone to actually help secure and validate transactions that are happening on the network. That does a couple of things for us. It doesn't require retailers now to trust our brand, our network security, our policies for our network operations center. They can believe in a mathematical outcome to guarantee validity and verification of transactions. So this will probably happen over the course of a year, where we transition from a high availability cloud deployed software into a completely decentralized application in which we are really just the utility provider. I think at the end of the day, we are looking to make training simpler in the sense that when you look at the activities that a cashier needs to do when their shift is over, there's envelope drops, till sweeps, and the reconciliation and balancing of their registers. What we're pretty much giving them is the technology that allows them to never really have to deal with the coins during a cash transaction. So when you're being trained on how to use the system, you're actually removing a whole task, which is counting coins, making sure you're not miscounting, which is usually the leading cause of a register not being balanced at the end of a shift or a day. And if you really just focus them on just the bills, there's a much lower propensity of miscounting, mishandling, and whatnot. So at the end of the day, we hope that the training becomes a little simpler rather than tacking on something else that they have to learn how to do. The idea is we want to keep you away from the coins. We want to keep everybody away from the coins. So when you scan in your receipt, there's an application that you can either download natively. We also have a web app, which is workable both on a laptop and on a phone. In that account, you'll be able to set your cash out options. If you want it direct deposited to your bank, you simply log into your bank, and then all of that information is there. If you want to donate to a charity, we're working through Pure Charity in Bentonville. You even get your end-of-year tax receipts and everything, charitable donation receipts. The idea is just point and click. We'll continually add additional cash out options because our mission really is to mobilize the money. So however you like your money is how we want to be able to deliver it to you outside of the actual physical coin.